need is, we talk about engage, there it comes from the form Maokai. Yeah, so the reason why OG removed Ornn and Zac is because they're two of the best champions for kicking off some action. Maokai now, while he does offer the same AoE sort of initiation, a means of starting a fight, I would say that it's not quite as effective or the most reliable way to kick things off because it is slow moving. It can be answered. There's plenty of time to react to it depending on the circumstances. So I do like the bans here from Origen, but I also like the response from G2.
And it does mean that Trundle is likely to go into the jungle. It won't be taken in the top lane. There's Lee Sin, the final pick for Origen. That will be Xerxes taking the jungle. Very aggressive early jungler for him. Usually likes to pick things that can control a little bit more and then have more of an impact as the game develops.
Well, it's also just something that we don't normally see Xerxes play. Lee Sin is not a Xerxes champion, and well, I was gonna say I laughed at the Kassadin over there. I think LeBlanc makes a lot more sense, gives you a lot more power in terms of the laning phase, can also send you off to the side lane. But I do quite like what Origen is going for. It's definitely team fight focused, but it also allows Origen to split up the map a little bit more. It gives Nukeduck agency in the mid lane. He can play relatively safe as he likes to do, and it's not really much about the mid jungle duo. It's about playing slow, playing scaling, but that doesn't mean Xerxes doesn't have options. It's very easy to set up dives towards the top side of the map, and bot lane is a potential play that you can look to make plays on because you do have the Nautilus setup as well. So Origen have early game options, but for G2 it's a lot more about scaling and poke. You can see that they want to try and keep the enemy at arm's length utilizing the Ezreal dash and the mobility on the LeBlanc, and then they also have the fallback engage of things like the Maokai that can also be used as a disengage tool to try and keep Origen away from them. But that's not to say that OG don't have strong poke of their own. With things like the Aphelios and the Azir, they're pretty good at utilizing their long-range kite back to try and slowly chip away at G2, but I think one of the things that OG is going to struggle with is actually getting on top of this G2 esports squad. So I think these team fights a little bit later are going to be interesting in terms of how they execute, but I think what we really need to keep our eyes on in the early game is what is Perkz going to be doing with this LeBlanc and where can he have impact on the map.
It's one of his legendary picks. We'll see if he can take G2 to a win in the first game of this best of 5. And on to Summoner's Rift we go. I just looked up Perkz' win rate on LeBlanc, 77%, Vedius. He's played it 22 times in his history as a professional e-gamer, and he has won 77% of the time. We've seen him pick off champions, pick off players like Faker with it. We'll see if he can do it again against Origen today. But something you mentioned in the draft was a little bit disappointing to me, Vedius. When we watched G2 against Mad Lions last week, it was a bloody affair. There was action all over the map. Everyone was dying. Everyone was getting kills. And then you said both teams kind of want to scale a little bit in this game, Betty. Are you telling me we're not going to see that aggressive early game action that we saw last week?
I mean, the only place that I would expect to see it is mid lane, but when I kind of look at where these junglers are going to start and what direction they'll likely take, I think the G2's bot lane don't want to offer a pull. They're going to want to try and get into lane as soon as possible because they want to try and utilize the poke of this lane, but you can see that Upset and Destiny looking to do the same thing. Both junglers starting on the top side of the map will look to path bot, and Xerxes, he could be looking to set up for a gank. Ooh, but what's Perkz doing here? It looks like he's just trying to get information. I thought he might go for a sneaky play, but now they've just guaranteed it. They've secured it. They know that Xerxes is starting on his blue buff. This means that Caps and Mickey are going to be like, okay, we've got to be careful. Not right now, but we know that Lee Sin is going to be in the bot side of the map after he in terms of his actual jungle pathing. Jankos is going to be doing the same thing so that he can match and help cover, and his priority might be trying to get that early Scuttle Crab, but he's not going to be able to do that because you can already see priority is being given over to the Azir in the mid lane as well. So right now, Origen are utilizing the strong fact that they have push top, push mid, and push bot to give Xerxes a lot of freedom. So Jankos is going to have to be playing on the back foot and just mainly prioritizing getting information and vision to cover his laners.
Perkz here trying to trade with Nukeduck, but he's already used his W in, and Perkz into the passive already. It was very aggressive trading from Perkz, considering he's only level 2, does have that corrupting potion, so can heal himself up. We saw trading in the bottom lane as well. Caps and Mickey not running double exhaust this game, Betty. It's Barrier on the Ezreal alongside the exhaust. Another great hook there from Destiny. Gonna land the root onto Caps, but the Zoomies heal will mean that Caps is pretty topped up in the lane.
So, two really good hooks being landed from Destiny, and this is kind of what you expect in this 2v2 in the bot side of the map. I still want to keep my eyes on what the junglers are up to right now, because we can see that Xerxes now did a full topside clear, doesn't even have his red buff up, but this good ward, I believe it came out from Jankos, will provide that extra bit of information to identify where Xerxes is, and this is what we talked about. Jankos seems to be tracking enemy jungle, making sure he has an eye on what he's up to, where he's looking to gank, and a lot of the vision that they've set towards the bot side of the map is very defensive. They're cautious of a potential dive, which is quite challenging against an Ezreal and a Yuumi especially, but at these early levels can be deadly, especially in the face of a Lee Sin. So G2 showing that respect and just being very wary of it.
And I think you can see that respect is kind of mirrored in the CS numbers in the lanes as well. Perks has fallen behind just a little bit. Bot lane is behind as the wave continues to push in towards them. And early on, G2 will be pretty happy with the state of affairs. Looks like Jankos, I thought he was going to try and catch Nuke Duck as he came back into lane, but instead he's just helping Perks push this out so that Perks can go back and match the double Dorans that has been completed by Nuke Duck.
So great cheater recall here from Nuke Duck. He recognized that he has that early priority. He also had a very good trade against Perks, so he was able to go back to base. And what Perks now wanted to do is get a base off of his own. LeBlanc clears the wave very slowly, which means Jankos has to come into lane. And look at the wave state that Nuke Duck now has for himself. He's been able to set up a pretty comfortable freeze underneath the tower, which is going to make Perks' life very awkward. The bright side for Perks is that the minion wave did hit the tower. We got to draw attention to bot lane as Xerxes looks for a gank.
Caps still has Flash, still has the Arcane Shift. Oh, actually must have used it because he went for the Flash first. So Caps does burn his summoner in the bottom lane as Xerxes looked for the gank. And Origen in a very comfortable position early on in this game. They have a 500 gold lead already.
Yeah, I like the play. This is sort of what we expected from Xerxes. He can look to either attack the top side or the bot side of the map, largely depending on what his mid laner was doing. The wave was slowly pushing towards bot side, so he looked for an opportunity there, and they do get the flash out of Caps, which is definitely what Origen need to be forcing in these early levels. You can see a gold advantage is starting to build up in Origen's favor, and a lot of that just comes off the back that they do have these 3 pushing lanes. But things will start to change once Wonder gets his Balmy Cinder, and when Perks is able... Well, he's just gone back now. He should feel a little more confident.
Nuke Duck has the flash, but the chain's still going to land. There's the Ignite. They're looking for Nuke Duck. He tries to shuffle away. That Ignite is ticking, though, and Nuke Duck will be first blood. Xerxes going to jump in onto Perks, but Jankos is trading it back, and Xerxes has to bounce away once again. This is a great trade from Perks in the mid lane.
Yeah, that was a great setup from Perks. He had the jungler available to come round for the flank and finish him off. Now the hook lands.
Jankos, oh, he's ignited. He's done. Destiny with another good hook, good rotation from the Origen support, getting down to the bottom lane in time.
Destiny landed almost all of his hooks this game, and he also had the Ignite to set up for that kill. Perks and Jankos just wanted to push out that wave to help get a good reset off for Perks, but unfortunately for him, Destiny and Xerxes had already made the roam over. They were in position and they were there to punish. So good answer from Origen. This should also give them an opportunity to grab an early Drake, given that Caps and Mickey have also just looked to reset. And honestly, this early game is looking great for Origen. I like the way in which they're utilizing their early pressure and the way in which they're utilizing the early summoners as well. Even though Perks got that kill in the mid lane. And again, the setup here is good. You can see that Nuke Duck, he just wants to push out the wave, probably look for another reset here, but Perks takes advantage of that, lands the chains, and then gets a good pillar off, and they're just barely able to finish him off with the Ignite. The problem here is you can see the minion wave right now. What Perks should really look to do is just base, but if he does that, then the TP is going to come through, and all this farm is going to get lost to the tower. So they've got to push it out, but that's how they end up getting punished here by Destiny and Xerxes. So the TP then comes through, and now unfortunately the wave is pushing towards Nuke Duck, so he can set up another freeze, and that's why he now has a 20 CS advantage. So unfortunately for Perks, he's not been able to control this wave because of how well Nuke Duck has utilized his early pushing power and how Xerxes has pathed around and covered him in any sort of awkward situations.
And as we said, we wanted to see what Perks could do when he is unleashed from this lane, when he's freed from this lane, roaming around the map, looking for ganks, looking to help out his other laners. But right now, it seems like that's going to be a long way away, and even if he gets out of the lane, he's going to be underfarmed, won't have a huge amount of gold in his back pocket, so won't be doing the damage that usually he would on this mid lane LeBlanc.
Well, look at it now. He's level 6, and Jankos is here.
Nuke Duck shuffles away, still gets chained. Second chain comes out, Emperor's Divide used. Jankos chasing under the turret, lands the chomp, and will get the kill. Good wait there from Jankos to wait for that Emperor's Divide to be used.
Excellently played by Jankos and Perks. You saw the amount of patience that came through because they both knew that the Emperor's Divide was there, but these are the sort of plays they need to make. Another hook lands in the bot lane.
Caps is just going to get healed up straight away, though. It's pretty easy for him to to get out of this situation, but Upset does have the 6, looking for that moonshot. Will land the Moonlight Vigil, but only onto Mickey. Mickey goes down to half HP, but really it depends how healthy Caps is in these trends.
But again, look at the positioning of Jankos, because he recognizes that Caps is in a prime position to get dived here. Level down, and Upset and Destiny close to level 6, and that was a big minion wave. So Jankos immediately went from mid into bot side river and was like, okay, is there a jungler here? Is there a potential for my bot laner to die? Nope, we're good. Okay, reset. And this is the sort of performance we need to see from Jankos, because last week he had a very rough series. It wasn't the same Jankos that we typically saw from the regular season, but I love how he's investing a lot more of his time into the mid lane, into the LeBlanc, because that's what they need to do, especially given how Nukeduck has been managing his waves so well and been trying to take advantage of perks on this LeBlanc.
Yeah, right now, Nukeduck is in a very strong position in the mid lane. I want to see... Well, I wanted to look up at the top lane, and then I looked at it and remembered that it's an Aatrox Maokai matchup, and right now it doesn't really matter too much. Execution is calling complete on Alphari to try and reduce some of the healing coming out from Wonder. Will help against Jankos later on, and of course against the Yuumi as well. But for now, Alphari will just continue to push in these lanes. That Barmy Cinder has been completed on Wonder, so he's in an okay spot just to farm it up, and if Alphari ever goes a little bit too far, Wonder can lock him down pretty easily.
So something we have to look at now is the potential swap from Origen's bot lane. Ooh, bad trade there for Perks in the mid lane. He's taken quite a few bad trades in terms of the 1v1 against Nukeduck. But something that is available is that first Rift Herald of the map. With the amount of pressure that Alphari is generating on the top side, it could have been an opportunity for Origen to swap over. But I think the reason why they're not is because of the amount of priority that Perks has in this 1v1. But now we've got to transition to top lane.
Here comes Jankos looking for Alphari. The Wound has popped and he manages to get past the pillar. Now he's trying to trade back onto Wonder. Jankos stepping forward in the front line. Perks on his way up as well. And Alphari really doesn't have anywhere to go. He's already burnt his flash. Perks looking for the kill. And with that final chain will connect. Second kill of the game for the mid laner of G2.
Yeah, well played there by G2. Alphari, I'm not sure why he didn't expect that. I think he wanted to just try and push the lane out, and he ends up getting punished. But now Xerxes trying to make the cross-map play happen. But again, this is why I was talking about the swap. Origen could have looked to just send their bot lane up towards the top side of the map, because G2 was in a position to be able to contest that Rift Herald, given that they did have strong prio in the mid lane, but they decide not to do it. They don't get anything off the back of it, and Origen just walk away with a free kill and nothing to lose.
And there's the hook onto Caps. Depth charge going to come out as well, but you can see Jankos on his way down with the final chapter coming out. Destiny really doesn't have anywhere to go. Has his flash, will use it to get away from the pillar. Upset chased off towards the top side of this as well, and it will end up with just Nautilus having to flash away.
The story of this game is Jankos, right place, right time. The dude has been in position at every opportunity that Origen could have gone for. He stopped any potential dives, he set up his mid laner for success, and here, when Upset and Destiny tried to force an all-in the bot side, it looks like Caps is out of position again, but he's not. He knows that he has his ultimate, he knows he has his flash, Mickey has ult, and Jankos is on his way. So G2 avoid another potential gank, but Origen continuing to keep the gold even as Jankos is looking for another play.
Xerxes does have a flank position here, could look for the fight onto Jankos, who hasn't got his flash. There's the Sonic Wave. Xerxes looking to dodge behind him. Dragon Rage kicking back. Nukeduck's on his way up as well, and already Jankos has been caught. Origen with their second kill of the game.
And there's the classic caster curse, Medic. Just as I'm singing his praises, he ends up losing his life. I think he tried too hard to force another play. He effectively overstayed on the bot side of the map, allowing Xerxes to then come for the counter gank. So Origen, they answer back. They extend the gold lead a little bit more, and you can see that Nukeduck continuing to come out ahead in terms of these small skirmishes. Yes, he's a little bit behind in gold, but thanks to the priority that he has, thanks to the fact that Jankos has just died, Origen are now investing a lot more into these early Drakes, which is going to be a great opportunity for them as another potential win condition as we get later into the game.
And it's not something we often see from Origen either. Usually they are very willing to give up the first couple of dragons, let the other team get it, and then when they get to, you know, the map changing, that's when they start to pick up dragons for themselves. But here, 2 early Drakes does put G2 on a bit of a clock. We saw it last week against Mad Lions. The early dragons forced G2 into fights perhaps they wouldn't have wanted to take. Of course, I'm not sure there were many fights that G2 ever don't want to take. They seem to be very willing to go in for a Barney whenever they can. And right now, 12 minutes in this game, although gold is pretty much even in the mid lane, there is that CS advantage for Nukeduck. Both teams scaling up. The Azir-Aphelios combination in the late game is going to be very powerful for Origen, but we've seen what this Ezreal Yuumi can do for G2 as well. Caps can be relied on a champion like this to carry a late game for you.
So let's have a look at how the lane assignments are coming through now. Perks is being sent off to a side lane. He's had enough of playing against the Azir in the 1 versus 1. He doesn't feel confident in terms of being able to get consistent prio anymore, especially without his jungler hovering around. So they're going to move him off to a side lane, and this is going to force Upset to swap. There's been a very low priority on securing an early Rift Herald, as we do see another hook lands. Aatrox is on his way down.
Yeah, it feels a little bit greedy from Destiny, though, because no one else is really coming. Now Origen are going to be able to get there in time, but Jankos still getting back towards the tower pretty quickly. Does have to burn his flash. Destiny was exhausted as well. The hook doesn't quite connect on Caps, so I guess overall it is a good trade for Origen, but Destiny was fighting for a long time before his team could join in. Wonder came down from top lane as well to try and force them away, and it looks like Origen are going to set up their vision control around this Rift Herald. However, there's a control ward in that bush. I'm not sure if Origen know it's there. I assume they do. Now Upset definitely does with the sentry in the bush itself.
I think Origen used their priority pretty well there, personally.
Yep.
The fact that Upset was already in the rotation from bot side river, the fact that Alfari pushed the Maokai underneath the tower, they were always going to be in a numbers advantage. And I think G2 were looking at a potential Rift Herald play from Origen, and G2 were probably surprised when they saw Upset was still in the bot lane. Because I think Origen could have invested much harder into this objective, especially with how well Nukeduck has actually been coming out on top of a lot of the 1v1 trades. Now they're finally going to look to secure it, but again, if you look at the map state right now, Nukeduck has the teleport, Perks is securing his blue, the Maokai is going to be forced back to base, and because the duo lane of Upset and Destiny have just pushed out the mid wave, which Caps won't be able to answer this early on into the game, it will now result in a pretty easy Rift Herald. I'm not sure if they'll have enough time to be able to secure the next one, but they will be able to secure this one and hopefully use it to break the mid-tier one.
Jankos looking for the pillar on Xerxes, who can just dodge away. Destiny has been caught though. Perks misses the chains and now has been rooted up in place. Upset opening up on Caps on the backline. Jankos maybe have to flash across this wall, but he doesn't even have that summoner spell available. He's on the back of it. Perks jumping in, but Jankos healed up, almost gone down. Now he's going to get chunked out again. There's the true shot barrage from Caps off towards the side. They've taken down Xerxes. Destiny pops his stopwatch and now Wonder's in the pit with 3 members of Origen, but Wonder has already got the kill on Destiny. Upset, no flash, no way out of this as Caps jumps forward and G2 have found the fight in the river that they were looking for. Nukeduck forced underneath the turret once again. Perks, I don't think he's got another chain in his back pocket, but they're diving this tower. Nukeduck has the ult. He's going to push Wonder back. Perks takes another tower shot. Wonder goes in with a twisted advance, and Nukeduck is done for. G2 with a perfect execution of a fight in the river.
Yeah, somehow this fight heavily swings in the favor of G2, even though it should have been a pretty clean secure. Notice the Azir. When does the teleport come through? It's actually quite late because the fight is already starting. Nukeduck is just doing his Krugs, and he's like, oh, okay, this is serious. I gotta join the fray. Caps and Perks utilizing their mobility to disengage. And remember we talked about how the point of this comp is to utilize poke. Jankos is soaking up so much of the damage, gets the heal off, while Wonder actually keeps Alfari busy, so he's not actually doing anything in the fight. Then Upset and the rest of Origen find themselves in the choke point after they finally take down the Trundle, but the poke has already been landed. Upset has used all of his mana and health, and that means that G2 can then go on to the chase. G2 playing their comp extremely well, and Caps, I don't think he was expecting to take tower aggro there. Nearly ends up dying, but he does have the barrier and the heal as well. And G2 end themselves with 7 kills to 3 now. They've only got a 1k gold advantage, so it hasn't ballooned out of control, but the kills have gone on to the priority people. And when we get an opportunity, I want to look at the gold differences. How much more of an advantage does this LeBlanc have? Because with the Mejai's being completed, along with the Luden's Echo and the level 11, I feel like Perks is sitting very comfortably and in a very strong position right now.
Yeah, it's about 800 gold ahead. There's a 400 gold lead for Caps in that bottom lane. He's completed his Mane Mune that is stacking up. And G2, this is what we used to see from them. You know, they up until 15 minutes, things could be a little bit quiet. Things could be a little bit slow. But when you get to that 15 to 20 minute mark, they used to balloon their gold leads. Usually they'd get 3 times as much gold advantage in that position. Perks flashes away in the mid lane. Upset already down to half HP, and Nukeduck's next on the menu. True Shot Barrage coming out as Wonder dives underneath the turret. And now they can step forward. Wonder's just tanking it all for days. In the end, he will fall, but it takes a long time for Origen and a turret helping out for that kill.
You know, Manic, you're right. This is G2. This is exactly what I come to expect from a G2 esports. Just diving between 2 tier 1 towers. The Yumi acting as a means to an end because it heals so much, and they're still going for this. They still want to get this dive.
Xerxes going to try and judge away. Perk's just like, okay, how many towers can we tank at the same time? Tier 1, Tier 2, who really cares? Alfari takes the turret in the top lane. That's the first tower of the game. G2 perhaps messing around a little bit too much looking for kills instead of focusing down the tower. But that gold lead, as you said, only 1,000 at the moment for G2. However, it feels like they're getting towards a very powerful point with this composition, Vedius.
I mean, I kind of, if we do get an opportunity to look back at that replay, I want to see if there was an opportunity for Alfari to TP in there, because he did have his TP up, but I think he was a little concerned because he didn't think that G2 would overcommit to the play. And I genuinely think the only goal there for Perkz was to just force upset back so that G2 could actually threaten this tier 1 in the mid lane, and it helps them then secure the Drake. I don't think they were expecting this level of commitment, and the classic Maokai flash where the moment he's twisted advanced onto you, he goes wherever you go. So if you flash away underneath your tower, he's coming with you, and looks like he's going in for another fight.
They're looking for Destiny once again. Now that Nautilus has the flash, we'll use it early on. Alfari's going to pop the World Ender, and Destiny is eating Mystic shots to the back. The pillar actually makes him dodge it, but in the end, Caps goes on a killing spree. 3-0-3 on this Ezreal. Perkz trading with Xerxes. Xerxes, you don't win these. As the rest of G2 comes around on the flank, Perkz and Wonder will get the kill in the end, as G2 now are just pushing into the Origen jungle. It's very difficult for Origen actually to do too much here. They're getting forced away. They really don't have that much control at all. And I'm wondering now if this game is just slipping away from Origen's grasp.
I mean, it definitely is. I think G2 are utilizing the mid-game strength of their composition perfectly. They're finding opportunities for Maokai to catch targets off guard. Like, you think about the pick power of this comp from G2 as well, it is extremely strong. So the moment a member of OG is trying to ward, that's when G2 looks to attack. The question is, why was Origen in the river at that point in time? I didn't get to look back and see exactly what they were setting up, but if we could just illuminate the amount of vision that G2 has on the map right now, you can see that they completely control the bot side. Origen shouldn't have been able to contest the enemy jungle, and here we can see, so they're actually trying to set up for the river. I think it's because they want to make a play for the bot tier 1. I think that's the goal, and you can see the collapse coming through, and they just don't expect a Maokai to be sitting in this brush. Like, the Maokai just comes out, and it immediately divides Origen into two sides. Nukeduck does try and rotate up to help save his teammate, but there's little that he can do against a 5-man strong G2 as they continue the chase, and then Xerxes ends up in this 1v1 against Perkz, where he obviously gets hunted down. But again, I think the game plan here from Origen was just like, hey, we want to try and secure bot tower, but I think what they didn't appreciate was who was on the map right now. They didn't see the Maokai, they didn't expect him to be there, and that single pick was enough to allow G2 to find 2 kills and secure the tier 1 on the bot side of the map.
20 minutes in, G2 still with a gold lead, not as massive as perhaps you would expect considering how the few previous fights have gone. But I do wonder perhaps if G2 will set up around something like a Baron. Ezreal Yuumi, very good at taking it alongside a Trundle. Of course, you can be topped up pretty easily. Instead, they're just going for this top tier 1. Only tier 1 that remains standing on the Origen side.
OG see this coming.
Yeah, I mean, do they fight it though? At the moment, you're in a 3v4.
They have the Alfari TP, and look at the control ward that's sitting right behind them. This could be a good opportunity for Origen.
Do you take it? Do you take it? Right now, Nukeduck is just feeling the pain of an Ezreal who's finished his Triforce and his Mura Mana. I mean, Caps could just stand there. The final chapter comes out, actually using the hook as a bait just to get Destiny in the fight, but Caps actually taken low, healed up. The Yuumi healing is absolutely absurd. He's back to full health already. Nukeduck, True Shot Barrage, the Twisted Advance comes in, and Alfari teleported in, but really he can't do too much about this. Perkz with a double. His LeBlanc win rate seems to be ever climbing with this game right now. Alfari forced away towards the top side. He's going to try and get away, but he has been slowed up, and that red buff will keep on ticking away on him. Caps with the chase, Infernal coming out, Mickey and Perkz jumping in as Alfari. Well, he's delaying them for a while.
He's still running.
You know what's happening here, Vedi, though? The Baron has been started by G2. I told you they could do it. Wonder and Jankos already on it, and Origen can do nothing about it. This is quintessentially G2 gameplay.
I think that what surprised me was the fact that Ezreal was the tank in that engage. The fact that he didn't die was absolutely ridiculous. 3-0-6 is the scoreline. Perkz is looking for what he's already got his 25 stacks.
I love that from Perkz. It's like, guys, I've got enough stacks. I'm just going to hold him in place for you to ult him. That's fine.
So let's have a look back at this fight. So Caps is just zoning. He's trying to zone them away from the tower. This is quite aggressive positioning, but a good E to avoid the follow-up engage from Destiny. That actually puts him in a very awkward position here, and you think, okay, he's going to die. Heal, barrier, heal. Wow, so much support coming in from the rest of the G2 squad. And, well, I say the rest of the G2 squad as they follow up to help secure the rest of these kills. And remember, all G2 wanted was the tower, but we also get to see something that we often see from Origen, which is that they don't usually make these cross-map plays. They don't try and trade things on the other side of the map. Their priority is often answering and responding to a lot of their plays that the opposition makes, and G2 kind of took advantage of that in this situation, and they knew that OG would go for the fight, go for the punish, and then that converted into a Baron for G2. 23 minutes in, they're 14 kills up. They have a 4.5k gold advantage, and they're pushing on to the tier 2.
Perks has a Void Staff as well. You've got a completed Nash's Tooth on Nuke Duck and a Haunting Guise. And Perks is at 3 items with 25 stacks of Medgies. Origen are trying to make a cross-map play right now, but they're giving up their Inhibitor Tower for it, and perhaps even the Inhibitor. Perks just so powerful on this LeBlanc pick. And I think a lot of people wondered how the Mad Lions would affect G2 as Perks jumps forward. Death's just going to chase him back, but he's back to full HP pretty much already. Origen trying to defend in a 4v4. Meanwhile, the Maokai is pushing in the bottom lane. Yeah, I think a lot of people wondered how the Mad Lions loss would affect G2. I think we're seeing G2 playing to win from the get-go here. There's no, like, let's have fun. There's no, let's see if this play will work. It is purely, okay, we're going to win this series and we're going to make a statement while doing it.
I mean, G2, they have a lot to prove after losing to Mad Lions. They want to showcase that they're still one of the top contenders in Europe, and also I think they have, I'm not going to say a grudge, but they definitely need to hold something over Origen. When you look back at how often they've played, they are a exact opposite in terms of how they approach the game. And I think that G2 style has consistently come out on top, and Origen style has just been consistently punished. And I think Origen wanted to showcase that they can tangle with the best. We can see that Fnatic is playing unbelievably well right now, and OG nearly forced them into a game 5. So if they could just get another opportunity, maybe they could turn it around, maybe they could actually win that series. But in order to do that, they have to go through G2, and question marks were raised. G2, they looked weak, they were struggling. Maybe there's a weakness in the armor that can be exploited. Well, in this game 1, they have not showcased any of that weakness, and Origen now looking for an opportunity to come back. They're looking for a pick in the top lane. I like this. They're going to catch Jankos.
Jankos going to face check straight into the dredge line. He uses the subjugate, but you have to feel he's pretty dead. Perk jumps in, takes Nuke Duck very low, very quickly. And perhaps G2 will look for the chase here because Upset is not with the squad. True Shot Barrage just dodged away by Nuke Duck. Perks jumping forward with the flash, can't quite land that final chapter onto Nuke Duck, which means the Origen mid laner should be able to slide his way away. They're on the hunt, as you say, Vedius. Perks not willing to let Origen get away without a fight, but there comes the hook, and here comes Alfari, and Perks maybe done for. Able to get away just for the moment. Upset coming in from the side as well, but can't quite land the Moonlight Vigil across the wall. Perks jumps back in! He goes back in! And manages to get a kill. Now the teleport coming out behind them. Nuke Duck has the Emperor's Divide, can look to shuffle in, shuffle out, see if he can get the damage down onto Caps. Almost takes him out, and there's the shutdown. Mickey jumps across onto Perks, trying to heal him up because he's the real damage dealer in this fight. Nuke Duck rooted up with the Nature's Grasp, but G2 will not chase this fight any further. They have learned the mistakes from last week and will just back away a little bit wounded, but still in a very strong position.
So the funniest thing about this is you still get to see essences of Caps when he's playing an AD carry, right? And it doesn't, like, this has been the biggest point of criticism, right? He plays almost like he was a mid laner on AD carry champions, but on Ezreal, when he's got a Yuumi, he gets away with it. Medic, like, look at him and Perks just dancing in and out, and the reason why they can do this is because they have Mickey there, providing these heals, providing the shields and the amount of support, and again, like, Caps just on the front line, he uses his Q to get the cooldown back up on his E, but also the amount of mobility that this LeBlanc and Ezreal has available to them. They just get to dance in and out of the fight. This is where we see Caps just going a little too aggressive as he jumps into the face of Nuke Duck, who can then use that ultimate to punish him. Cap's first death of the game, but this is so obnoxious for Origen to deal with just because G2 is like dancing around them. They just constantly, elegantly avoid all these skill shots, and then when you think you're about to kill them, oh no, Yuumi heal again, Yuumi barrier, and then they're able to just dash out to safety.
It's just so powerful from G2 right now. We saw Upset just whiff a Moonlight Vigil there. Any little bit further to the left, it would have connected onto Perks and may have spelt his demise, but right now G2 just pushing in this top lane as a 5-man squad. Perks jumping forward once again. There's the dredge line. Perks actually is dead before the fight even begins. Now the Nature's Grasp coming out as the Inhibitor Tower falls. There's one in response. Destiny down. Origen still looking for this fight as Alfari jumps onto Caps on the back line. Moonlight Vigil coming out as Wonder dives forward. There's the Emperor's Divide once again. He flashes away. The Inhibitor Tower yet to fall, but Caps can open up with the damage now. Full HP, full mana, and a shield to boot as the third inhibitor of the game falls. G2 going to wait for those super minions to push in. They're just actually going to focus down the second Nexus tower straight away. Upset trying to open up with the Infernum, has the Calibrum as well. Wonder dives back onto Xerxes as he jumps forward, and Wonder's going to get shut down. Jankos getting chased off by Upset up towards the top side of this, bottom side of this as well. As Caps and Mickey are able to retreat. Xerxes lands the Sonic Wave. Jankos flashes across the wall and will escape to live another day, but Caps still on the chase. G2 still on the chase in this game. 3 inhibitors down before the 30-minute mark, Vedius. This is a rout for G2.
Now, if Trundle had died there...
Okay,
I mean, he's on Ezreal. There's no way he's going to die.
But no, Betty, you say these things. I've seen Caps do a lot of things where he shouldn't die, and now it looks like he might go down, Betty. He's not going to die. He says as he jumps across the wall, but Alfari's on the chase, and now Mickey pays for it as well. Caps with a very greedy back takes his second death of the game.
It wasn't a greedy back, it was a greedy E. He E like a centimeter behind him. He could have just gone over the wall. He's like, I can take this. I can 1v3. He's like, I'm Ezreal Yumi. How could they possibly kill me? And he ends up dying there. Now, Perks.
What? No, G2. This is last week G2.
Doing it again.
This is last week G2. You're just inting into them. This is like watching my teammates in Valorant just walking into headshot after headshot.
It's just, he's thrown away all of his Magi stacks now. He's down to 7, Medic. And G2, like, look at the gold gap. It's closing once again. This Azir is nearly at... No, he is at 3 items now. G2 are 100% throwing away this lead. The problem is, for G2 now, is the Origen have just been getting free farm in their base. Look, Alfari just hit level 16. Nuktak, he's probably not that far from it himself. And OG is slowly starting to get stronger and stronger. These team fights are not going to be as one-sided as G2 want them, and that's because they're getting too greedy, they're getting too over-aggressive, and yes, the next Drake is about to be spawning, but that's not the 4th Infernal. The 3rd Infernal is nice to have, but that is not a Dragon Soul that OG need to be too worried about. It's the Baron that they need to be afraid of, and as long as they can hold on until that 3rd inhibitor respawns, then they're actually in a great position to be able to contest it. You can see that Upset, level 15, he has a 2-level advantage over Caps. Like, everything right now is looking pretty comfortable for OG after G2. What first seemed like some silly errors, as you rightly said, is a repeat of what we saw last week. Some of these over-aggressive plays, this over-willingness to fight. The cockiness from G2 is starting to bite them in the behind.
They do have the setup on the Baron here. Some vision for Origen around it. Going to get swept out with that control ward. Top lane inhibitor still down for Origen. We'll see. As Perks jumps forward, trying to get the damage onto Upset, but Upset now has a Phantom Dancer to avoid some of that assassination potential. Playing a Aphelios against a team like this is very difficult. The front to back is quite hard for Origen because, of course, Perks can just dive on the back line. Caps can just reposition pretty easily, but Phantom Dancer shield will help out Upset if he gets dived on. Cap's going to take a little bit of a chunk from the Baron, but should be healed up by Mickey in just a second. And it's so important to remember that, like, in a series like this, there will be mistakes. There'll be moments of weakness. There'll be moments where you let your guard slip a little bit. But we've seen it so consistently from G2. And when you're playing in an elimination series like this, where you might miss your first finals weekend since 2018, you have to avoid those mistakes. You have to avoid the little bit of greediness, perhaps the little bit of arrogance that G2 sometimes demonstrate in moments like this. Now, Perks is going to try and dive onto Alfari. He spotted him out with the Oracles. Alfari, though, can trade back. Of course, Perks can just distort away. And Alfari is now down to half HP.
So, you can see in terms of the map state, Wonder was sent to the bot lane to catch that huge wave that was stacking up. He's going to reset, spend that gold to convert it into a Righteous Glory TP. Now that he has that upgraded item, they're ready to fight. The TP is going to come in from, I believe,
He's all by himself. He's all by himself. That's Alfari. He's all by himself. He has to out of this. Now, Origen are going to look to the flank position. But Xerxes is on a control ward. Alfari did stop G2 from doing the Baron too quickly, but there was a slightly scary moment there for Alfari as he may have got caught out.
All G2 need to do is wait for that top lane to push, and they have to hold mid-prio. As long as they don't lose this wave, they're actually very comfortable, because bot's mostly going to freeze. OG, they've got no wards left now, so they have nothing left to break into the river of G2, which means they have to face check. And face checking against this team is very dangerous, but Xerxes has been able to find an opportunity to get behind.
Perks is trying to trade onto Nuke Duck in that top lane. Now they've got a ward in the pit, but it's being controlled. They can't have the vision, and now Perks comes back. He's got the flank. He's looking for Alfari. He dodges back.
They're just going to finish the Baron.
HP. The Nature Scar's coming out. Nuclear's going to teleport into the middle of this, and there might be a fight even if they finish the Baron. Caps jumping forward onto Upset. Almost takes him out. Perks goes in, and Upset is down. Called out by Caps, who dived in from the side. And that's a double for Caps. He's looking for 3. He's looking for more. He's looking for 4 as Nuke Duck gets exhausted and will fall. There's the triple. Destiny next on the menu for the quadra kill for Caps. Secures it with the auto attack. He's going for the Penta. Will G2 steal it away from him because Alfari is trading, but the chains locks Alfari in place. Caps with a Penta kill to assuade the naysayers. No one thought he could play well last week. Well, a Penta puts them in their place.
Caps just had to one-up Reckless, didn't he? He just had to do it. The quadra for Reckless yesterday, and Caps says, oh, I can just get a Penta in my first game of the series. G2 are going to lock this one down.
G2 with a dominant win in game 1 of this best of 5.
It was messy.